So it's being reported by NewsMax that there's going to be a tape leaked of Joe Biden's corruption. It's not going to be before Labor Day. It's going to be after Labor Day, between Labor Day and Halloween. Greg Kelly from NewsMax was the first to report on this. Biden has a big mouth and it got him into a lot of trouble, but he hasn't seen the half of it yet, Kelly said on Tuesday's broadcast of Greg Kelly Reports. There's an audio tape, I'm told, by people in the know, not necessarily in government, not necessarily out of government. I can't say too much, but there is indisputable evidence of Joe Biden's corruption that is about to be made public. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen before Labor Day, but it will happen sometime between Labor Day and Halloween, the right-wing host said, adding that he also does not know who will be releasing the tape to the public. Kelly claimed that the White House is aware of the tape's circulation. Well, the person that has this tape, you better be careful because you don't want to end up, because we know how some of these politicians like to operate. Now, at this point, do you really need any more evidence that the Biden crime family is corrupt, that Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, his wife, who is actually probably a bigger piece of garbage than the husband and the son? You know, think about this. Joe Biden props her husband up like Weekend at Bernie's. I don't know if you guys remember that movie where it's like a dead body and they wheel it around pretending like Uncle Bernie's alive. That's what they do with Joe Biden. They prop him up. You know, he's not running the country. There's all types of rumors who's actually running the country. And, you know, he's in his basement by noon asleep with the ice cream all over his shirt. And he does duty in his pants. And, you know, she props him up like Weekend at Bernie's. And she tells everybody that his health is fine to vote for him. I mean, all the evidence that comes out that this guy is corrupt, and still people, if you don't believe at this point that the Bidens are corrupt, you're just an idiot. You're just, there's just no hope for you. You know, it's funny that everything they accuse conservatives of, that liberals actually do. And I don't even think at this point, even if these tapes are released and it shows Joe Biden, like, I mean, he could push the nuclear at this point and people would still make excuses for him. You know, like, I don't think this tape is going to make any difference whatsoever. I don't think it'll change anything. I don't think nothing will change. If you can't see, you don't think that our FBI knows they're corrupt. You don't think that our CIA knows that the Bidens are corrupt. You don't think that the CIA knows that he's selling the country out to China. Of course he knows. Of course they all know. But we have turncoats and communists and the CIA and the FBI, and they're just allowing him to do whatever they want. So, you know, this tape shouldn't come as a surprise as nobody. Joe Biden is a complete idiot. He's a complete moron. His son is a complete moron. His wife is a complete moron. I mean, this is the same man who all he ever does is say how proud he is of his son. And it's a known fact that his son sleeps with his dead brother's wife. Let that sink in for a minute. Forget the government corruption. Forget all that. Forget that he's selling the country out. Forget that we have the highest inflation ever. Forget the gas prices. Forget the food prices. Forget it all. He sleeps with his dead brother's wife. They're in a relationship. I mean, could you imagine if this was the Trump family? Could you imagine if somebody in Trump's family was acting the way Hunter Biden was acting? Could you imagine one of Trump's kids acted like Hunter Biden? I mean, all you hear from liberals is white privilege, white privilege, white privilege. They can't even spell the word, right? White privilege, white privilege, white privilege. Everybody, news anchors, politicians, everybody, right? That's all you hear. Have you heard the term white privilege used once for Hunter Biden? He got called an illegal gun, the tax issues, human trafficking, everything, and he's going to get probation. Anybody else would be in prison for about 5 to 10 years in a federal compound. Do we hear the term white privilege? Is anybody saying white privilege at this point? No, it doesn't exist anymore. You know what? It doesn't fit our narrative, so we're not going to say it anymore. You know, this tape, even if it comes out, you don't, like, all these people that will still vote for Joe Biden, your children's children will be in debt to Ukraine. We have given Ukraine so much money that we could literally make the roads made out of gold, and every appliance in every house made out of gold. We have plenty of problems in this country: homelessness, military veterans issues. We could have literally, the amount of money that we could have gave Ukraine, we could have solved every single problem in this country, and we could have took every person that's homeless, hungry, or bankrupt and needed money, and we could have fixed every problem in America. But in typical American fashion, the government here, who gives a F about American citizens? We don't care about you. We only care overseas about, people that hate our way of life, and we'll send trillions of dollars to all these people around the world. But in typical, the American government fashion, F the American citizen. They're more worried about illegals, foreign countries, and they could care less about Americans. Americans, you need to wake up who you vote for. You really need to do, instead of listening to what somebody in the barbershop says, instead of listening to your friend that's a conspiracy theorist, instead of listening to everybody else, you need to take some time and you need to research the people that you vote for. Because if you did any research on Joe Biden before you voted for him, you would see that this lowlife, he wrote the crack laws, that if you got caught with this much crack, you automatically got mandatory minimum sentences. He was on the back of a parade float with the Ku Klux Klan, riding around. He openly supported the Ku Klux Klan for years. He's a racist. He's corrupt. He does weird things with little girls, like sniff their hair. He's perverted. He's a disgusting human being. And if you took 2 seconds to, investigate him before you voted for him, if you had any sense, you wouldn't have voted for him in a million years. With that being said, remember to subscribe to Fortis Money.